Let me tell you,
I was telling
I
her
was
about that,
looking
and
and
he's
saying
like,
if
what's
this
a
goes
flow
much longer,
meter?
I'm gonna start looking really sketchy. I already do. But even more so, I'm already starting to get some T-Wolf action going on.
Like, oh man, I'm old. You remember that little vacuum infomercial?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that thing. Yeah, man, I'm having a real mentally tough time with all this not touching people, and
It's a weird time.
it's very strange.
Oh man.
Wow. Yeah, it makes it tough. Before we get started, I want staff to pull. Yeah. Wow. They weren't even.
I just read that too.
That's not the motion was that they work with just they're never even got a copy. TV had email, no less than text.
Okay, just wanted to let you know, I see as participants, we have.
Recording. They haven't started yet. Oh, there you are.
Oh.
So you're going to be.
Oh wait.
That leaves us no items on.
Consent, right? That's
Yeah.
Well, we did have Norm Allender that contacted us and wanted to make public comments. Call him.
Yeah.
Well, if you had something, you have like a couple books.
Oops.
Yeah, that's fine.
The max.
I just muted him here. Let me know,
Let's get started.
let me,
We had to get time.
good morning, Board of Supervisors. Good morning, Supervisors. Would you please mute your devices? Please mute your devices. Okay. The chairman is here and he's ready to start the meeting, so let me know if you can hear okay, and we'll be on our way.
Good morning. Good morning. Let's do a roll call to see that we have a quorum.
Okay, call for the attendance. Supervisor Frazier. Supervisor Frazier.
Here.
Supervisor Poitras.
Yes.
Supervisor Rodriguez. Supervisor Wheeler. Supervisor Wheeler. And Supervisor Rogers.
Here. Do we have everybody here?
Who?
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. We're having issues with Supervisor.
We're having technical difficulties.
I believe it's Supervisor Wheeler's phone. Want to mute everyone else. So I'm going to unmute Supervisor Wheeler to see if his phone is the one that's giving us kind of a shrill. Supervisor Wheeler, is this you?
Maybe he could call back in on another.
Supervisor Wheeler, we're going to ask you to call back in for us.
Or we could just have him not talk this time.
Hey, good to see your face there, buddy boy.
So we can test him in closed session.
Yes. Okay, so what I'm going to do then, we're going to move to our closed session items, and I'm going to ask County Council to read that into the agenda, please.
Chairman and members of the board, there are 2 items for your closed session today. The first is under Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with your labor negotiators. Your agency designated representative is Alba Gomez, and the employee organization is all units. The second item on the agenda is Government Code Section 54956.9. You have conference with your legal counsel due to anticipated litigation, deciding whether to initiate litigation under paragraph 4, subsection B of section 54956.9. That's 1 case. Thank you.
Okay. County Clerk, do we have any additions to the agenda?
There are no additions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do we have any public comment regarding the items that are on the closed session agenda?
There were no public comments received for closed session items.
Okay, with that, we're going to retire to closed session. That in the back or right here? In the back, okay. Oh boy, I'll be glad when things are back to normal.
Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Is everybody there now?
Yes, we have Supervisor Frazier, Rodriguez, Poitras, and you. So yes, everybody got connected right back in. Thank you so much. We have a few more minutes before we hit 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay. I see, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we ready? Okay, we're returning from closed session. County Council, are there any reportable items?
Chairman, there are no reportable actions from today's closed session.
Okay. Let's see. Where are we at?
For open and close?
Oh, opening and close. Is there anyone to open and close in memory of?
I have none.
Okay. Let's just, let's do it in memory of those who have lost their lives in this virus, with their families as well. We'll do that. Let's see, I guess we don't have any clergy here, so I'll do the prayer again. Let's have prayer, and then Jay, will you lead us in the flag salute, please? So we're going to bow our heads and approach the Father. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your blessings upon our country to this point. Thank you for all that you do for us from day to day. Every good gift comes from you. We thank you for the rain that you provided this April. Pray for more and continued blessing upon our land. Be with our first responders and those in charge of the situation surrounding this virus. Pray for healing from this situation for our country and for the prosperity that might return to the lives of every individual. We thank you again that you care about the things that happen to us from day to day, the things of life, and that you are not ignorant of those things as they pass through our meager existence. And you're aware of us and love us and care for us. Be with those young men and women right now who are on foreign fields of battle, away from home. Protect them. Provide that mental strength and that knowledge that they're loved at home. We thank you for them and their sacrifice. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Sheriff?
Stand, please, for the proper salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. At this time, we have any public comment?
Mr. Chairman, we did not receive any public comment under general public comment through our various methods, but we do have some here in person for public comment.
Okay. We have really gone to great lengths to try and make it available to the public in many different forums and methods to call in for public comment and to email and various other things. So we have Sheriff before us. Go ahead, Jay.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to bring to the board's attention that the governor is doing a press conference at noon today where, based on what he said yesterday, he'll be announcing some type of reintegration schedule, I guess we'll call it, as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic and his stay-at-home order. So I figure the board would probably want to listen to that by whatever means they have available where they're at.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Morning.
Dennis Cook, Department of Behavioral Health.
Can't hear you. Make sure you're on mic there. Go ahead.
Dennis Cook, Director of Behavioral Health Services. Good morning. Just since I had to be here, I wanted to give a heads up that tomorrow there is scheduled calls with our state senators and our state assembly members, so you may get word of that. They're meeting with the local behavioral health directors to get a status on what is happening with behavioral health services in our local region and what kind of legislature would be helpful, either lessons learned or financial costs for having staff working from home. So that is happening tomorrow at 3 different scheduled times with State Senator Borges, State Senator Anna Caballero, and Assemblymember Frank Bigelow tomorrow. And what I'll do is I'll send the notes from that and our speaking notes to the board and to the CAO after that.
Very good. Next speaker.
Hello, good morning. Tracy Kennedy, Madera County Treasurer Tax Collector. I brought the stats as we know them. Anyway, I do that every collection period. You want to take these, Darren? I think, well, there's enough for everybody that's here, for sure. One of the things that I wanted to call your attention to is, our office was up and running last week, albeit in a limited basis due to the opening and closing and everything. And I just wanted to be sure that I let everybody know that's listening, make no mistake, we have had an emergency. This has been a disaster, okay? And I say that because when my people are wearing gloves and masked up and we're all escorting a taxpayer in at a time, it's real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to that, I really want to shout out to my people. They hung in there. They rallied. They did what they were supposed to do. True public servants to the core. So for that, I'm very proud of them, and I wanted to make sure everybody knew that.
For sure.
Along the same lines, I have to thank you. Our ability to function last week was no less than almost a miracle. I mean, we had to have people stepping up from every department. Matt's office gave us help at the information booth because, of course, we inundated the information booth with hundreds of people. Becky Martinez, County Clerk Recorder. If it hadn't have been for her outside drop boxes and inside drop box that we had, we would have had another 500 people probably in our lobby. And that's the kind of traffic. And it's on your stat list right there. Recorder drop box, 395 people. So drop payments. So that's a lot to the tune of 1.4 million. So I really want to thank Becky for that and for letting us use the drop boxes. We even ordered our own sign. You might have seen it out there on the driveway drop boxes. And so anyway, it was a critical function, and we were very happy that she allowed it to happen. Also, thank you to Dexter measuring off 6-foot increments so that people would stay apart 6 feet. Our security, we had 4 people, Jeremy, Daniel, Christina, and Frank, and they escorted people up one by one, and even operated the door the last couple of days. Maria also in Matt's shop helped, and they logged also the taxpayers. They had approximately 300 or so taxpayers that came up to the information booth that they were directed elsewhere. Information tech for keeping us up and running. Apologies to the 311 telephone people and everyone that was impacted. It's always a busy time this year. This is nothing new. It's always been busy, but it's only ever just impacted my department. And this year it impacted everybody. So to that end, I apologize to that. But the good news is we collected a good amount of revenues for the county. We certainly earned our keep. And Joel should be happy to hear all that. Anyway, so the stats as we know them are here. Our percentages are oddly pretty high. Our second installment is 86% that we have collected. Of course, we still have mail and different things to post that we haven't had. The taxpayers that could pay, they did come and pay, and we're very proud of them for that and did that. We also had to implement some voicemail components there because we couldn't answer all the phone calls despite even 311 helping. So in 3 days, we called 188 taxpayers back that had left messages. So that's real good old-fashioned customer service, right?
Wow.
Anyway, so we are still posting April 10th. And yes, we've already have had penalty waiver questions. Now, That's a big discussion up and down California, right? The penalty waiver. Now, just so that if, when you're out and about, or if you hear anybody ask, it is not a tax deferral. It is not a tax waiver. It is only a penalty cancellation or a penalty waiver. We cannot cancel the taxes and we cannot waive the taxes.
Yeah, we have no control over any of that.
Correct. That's a state date. That's
Right.
embedded in the state. It's legislature.
Well, I tried to tell about 500 Facebookers.
Yeah.
They kept telling me we needed to do that. I was like,
I know.
yeah,
And
well,
although that they were directed to ask me also, I do not have the latitude or the authority
No.
to change that date also either. So anyway, so I appreciate you answering to Facebook. I've kind of been fasting. off
yeah, I
Facebook.
hear you. I may do that myself.
But anyway, so here's the news across the nation, and I forgot not everybody was going to be here. And so right now we're open or closed, similar to the assessor. I'm not sure which they're operating on, but our doors are closed to the public. Of course, we will take emails and telephone calls. The amounts to pay your taxes. There's no other tax deadline due between now and April 30th. So there's no reason that they either can't wait or go get a money order or something. If they have to pay using cash, they can convert that to a money order, or maybe go to Walmart and they can give you a money.
Any number of ways to do it.
Yeah, and a money check. Anyway, if there's not any other questions, or anybody else have any comments or questions?
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, can you send me that rundown that you handed out, please?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, hon. Good job.
Do you want me to email it to you, I guess?
And I
Yeah,
just
you can email
texted
it.
it to
I
you,
can print it that
Supervisor
way.
Wheeler.
Okay.
Yes?
I also sent it.
I also just texted it to you and Rhonda sent it.
Oh, okay. Thank both of you. And then Tracy, I was the same way, and I was so happy you sent me that explanation of all that, because I put that on Facebook. Still got some nasty, stupid people that didn't understand it, but I still posted it, and it answered a lot of those people's questions, so that really helped. So thank you.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a crisis, I mean, we understand that, but we have certain limitations to our authority. So anyway, and the e-checks came on really strong this year, over 5.5 million just on e-checks. So, and they're free and it's easy to do. And so this is a real opportunity here and we learned a lot of things. We learned a lot of things being opened and closed and limited open and drop boxes and telephone calls and everything else. And so we learned a lot. We learned a lot during this. And so going forward, one thing that we did do that we hadn't done before was close from noon to 1 o'clock. And that was a big break for the staff. When you have a small staff, you can't really do the coverage that you really need to for segregation of duties, for dual custody, things like that. So closing from noon to 1 has been a real boon to the staff. So I think I'll continue that. And because then everybody goes at the same time, they all come back at the same time. We got full freight. We got full staff, full coverage. So that's one thing that we did learn. And,
Tracy, closing at noon, is that a negotiable deal with the unions?
Well, I don't know. We're in a state of emergency right now, so everybody else gets to close whenever they want to, be down for 2-3 weeks at a time.
No problem. I mean, you said you were going to keep doing that. I thought you meant from after this is over.
Oh, okay. All right. So anyway, I think it's the best management opportunity that we have for the staff that we have left. So, if we have to run the office, and that's kind of what we're doing. Anyway, and then anything else? I don't know. We're still at the office. We're posting and wrapping up the April 10th, and I can give you an update if it's changed as much from this another week. All right?
Thank you very much, Tracy.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no other public comment. With that, I will, have we received any at this point?
No further public comments.
Okay, so I'll close the public comment and we'll go to the consent calendar. Any questions from the board on the consent calendar?
Yeah, this is Tom Wheeler. I do B, C, D, and F.
B, C, D, and F. Go ahead, one at a time. B. That would
Yeah.
be Dennis.
And B, in that new contract, why are we, we revamped it, the dates and stuff. Why are we leaving out 14A when that kind of, I think, protects us? Is it because they don't want to come to Michigan? Does that mean we'd have to go to Michigan if there is a lawsuit?
Well, I don't know if we, Dennis Cook, Department of Behavioral Health Director, I'm not sure that we would have to go there. I think we could do that from here. But that is one of their requirements. And what this is, this allows us to use nurse practitioners as interns who are living in our area that are going to the online program up there. And we currently have
Right.
students.
I Dennis, I know that's what it is. The only question I have is why we're taking that out if there's any type of lawsuits.
It was their request. It was their requirement.
I know it's their request, but we don't have to bow down to nobody. But I mean, I like to see county council explain why we took that out.
Well, and right before I'm sure she'll address that. At the end of the day, we need them a lot more than they need us.
Okay.
If this student doesn't come here, every other county will be drooling to get them.
How many we got?
One.
Oh, one. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a nurse practitioner. That's at a level that we've only been able to hire one person in that position. It's and for us, we use interns. We have interns all the time at different levels. We hope that once they come and know us, that they'll like us.
They stay.
Exactly. And that has worked so far in the past with different students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that for Dennis? Okay. C. Matt?
C. Matt, what's the timeline on that? And I think this really opens up some great things for us to help, especially with what's going on right now. But like it's time to start looking at some of our infrastructure requirements that's really inhibited our housing developments. And so changing some of the advanced treatment on-site waste things they have now, the new treatment deals. And last year I brought up that class 1 road for 5 to 40 acre partial splits. Might be a good time to look at that. And the other one is maybe it's time, if this stays very long and we have that recession like we did the last time and we lowered our fees, maybe it's the time to look at that again and see if we can maybe look at that again to lower to 1/3 or 2/3 like we did before. And then the multifamily second homes, is there any way we could get in that too, look at giving them a break for mitigation fees? So this is going to be a good thing for us, I think.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Wheeler, this is Jamie Bax with the Planning Division. As for the timeline question, we are to expend the fees by June 30th, 2022. So we have a 2-year timeline to complete the process. For that. As for the other items, we can definitely incorporate into, I can tell you for the road standards, I believe those are kind of geared towards our general plan, which we can definitely look at and will definitely look at when we're updating the zoning ordinance. And as for some others, we will definitely be including the Public Works Department and other agencies and the public in this review process. So any input that we receive as part of this process will definitely be taking into consideration. So this is just the first step, and there'll be many more discussions and meetings moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I'd just like to throw those things out because this is the things that I get from people mostly up here when they're trying to build homes. I mean, so, and I'm sure Dave Rogers could think of that when he's built homes to some of these costs and restrictions that we have. So I think this is a really good time to do that. And I'm glad we got a grant to pay for it. So that makes it better too. So.
Yeah. And if I could just piggyback a little bit on what Jamie was speaking of. So there are specific restrictions now in the state law in regards to like secondary units, which we have seen a few of those come through the shop already that are 750 square foot or less. We cannot charge impact fees for those projects, those second unit residents. So we're starting to see a couple of those flowing in on that.
Good,
so,
good.
this will be good certainly for the housing, numbers that we can generate. And
Say that again, what you just said. I missed everything. Part
yeah,
of it.
so in the recent changes that came about in state law dealing with housing, one of those changes was that eliminated the ability for an agency to charge impact fees for a second residence if it's 750 square feet or less in size. So pretty small, but also, I mean, that's a pretty big,
That's
pretty
not
big
too
offer
bad.
there.
That's an apartment-sized house. Yeah. Okay.
It was almost like when we had that a couple of years ago, we changed the additions. If they were 500 feet or less, we wouldn't charge them. So the state has stepped up and added 250 feet to it then.
That's just impact fees.
Impact
That's not
fees.
permit fees and.
That's correct. But typically, I mean, on a 750 square feet, I don't have the number right off the top of my head, but it's a pretty small building permit size fee. A lot of our single family dwellings that you see on the 41 corridor, the actual building permit fee is about anywhere from $2,000 to $3,500, depending on the size of that building, the dwelling. Whereas the impact fees, right, on the 41 corridor south of 145 are north of 15,000. That's for road impact fees, capital facility fees,
Right.
and then you have school impact fees as well on top of
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. So schools, are schools included in that?
School impact fees on that too?
They didn't include the school and agreements that the schools have with the builders. So
They have an agreement that anything 500 square feet or less is not taxed on the impact fees. So that remains at 500. Okay.
yes.
So if a person did 750, they would be paying the whole 750 on that.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hey, item D, did you ask on that, Tom? Tom?
Stuff. What I was looking at item D, we had it last week, and we had at that time Laura Cunningham wrote the board letter, and then this time Michelle Treckney or something like that wrote it, and I just wondering what is it just that the mistakes that we're trying to correct, or what's going on with it? I pulled out last week's agenda because I keep all those, and it just, I don't understand what's going on with that particular one. I just like somebody to explain it to me.
yeah, apologize for that, Supervisor Wheeler, Mr. Chairman. Matt Trieber with Development Services. So we actually worked with the board clerk's office on this item. There was a discrepancy based on the previous minutes that were generated back like a year ago and this item, and the contract numbers were transposed, I believe, Rhonda, on that one, other on our end. So this is a correction item to just specify that correct contract.
To make it right.
Correct.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
Item
Okay.
F, Tom?
Yeah, and then on the last one, F, all the backup don't have anything what we sold to get that $22,100, and it says we had an auction and we sold a bunch of stuff. I don't know if that was fire equipment or when we have our regular auction every year. I didn't nothing in there showing where that came from.
Supervisor Wheeler, Chief Watson from the fire department. So the equipment that was sold was some of the older engines and older water tenders that were replaced through the fire equipment replacement program. So they were out of their
okay.
useful life, and so they were sold.
Okay, no, I didn't know. So I think maybe if we put that on there, the average person sees that and they wouldn't know either, and they wouldn't know to look all the stuff I had to look up and still didn't show it. So maybe if we do that in any of our departments, we kind of show where that came from besides just an auction.
No, I note taken, and I'll make sure we clarify that in the future. And just so you know, Supervisor Wheeler, this mill, like it says in the documents, was early 1970s, and we're saving the mills, the bits, the collets, and the tooling for that. If this is approved, we'll be able to save those, which saves thousands of dollars in replacement. That mill is just slowing down. Some of the safety features aren't there, and that's why I did note that the shear press brake will also need to be looked at in the next couple of years, just they're getting outside their useful life, and especially when it comes to the newer safety features. So if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
No, I saw where you're buying all that. We got all that up there to shop at the ranch. I was lucky. I took machine shop in City College, and so Wiley, my boss, he bought all that stuff. So there's a milling machine, a 12-foot lathe, great big nice metal bandsaw. I mean, we got it all there. So it's nothing better than having good equipment, so we can do that ourselves instead of having to buy all that different things that people can make.
That's for sure.
So it's a great addition. So
two of our, one of our fleet manager and one of our mechanics is a master fabricator, and us having those, we're able to make custom mounts, and it makes our fire equipment a lot easier and a lot nicer to use, and it also saves money in purchasing aftermarket items also.
right, and then if you have to have something custom made, then you're paying top dollar. So this way, we got the guys to do it. Heck, man, have the equipment for them. So
Yeah, it's great to have a.
thank you. That's all I have on consent calendar.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the public at this point on the consent calendar?
We've had no public comments, sir.
Okay, any?
Move to approve?
Okay, motion.
Second.
Motion is made. Was that Brett that made the motion?
Yes.
Brett made the motion and Rob seconded.
Call for the vote. Supervisor Frazier?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
That was Poitras.
Oh, Supervisor Poitras?
Yes.
Supervisor Wheeler?
Tom?
Supervisor Wheeler?
I see I was unmuted. Somebody muted me or something.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Where did I leave off? Supervisor Rodriguez
C.
and Supervisor Rogers.
Yes.
Vote passes 5-0.
Okay. The next, in public session, item 6A has been removed by staff for, it's not ready. And so it needs.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So.
Tell you what, I got so many questions on this. Whoever wrote this don't know what they're talking about. I'm telling you something. When they put LAFCO areas in there, they must not know what about the conservation districts. Madera, LAFCO just passed Madera, and Red Top joining probably covers, I bet, 75% of all the valley down there. Corsco Resource Conservation District covers from upper above Raymond Crow over to North Fork. So that guy has wants 40 acres of this in Awanee couldn't do it. That's just one thing. There's so much wrong stuff on this. I can't even believe it.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And
Yeah.
and they've had a year. July. I pulled out the agenda from July 2nd, 2019, and I made a motion. It says right here, to come back with an ordinance with public input, the Farm Bureau, the farmers, the RCDs, anything you want to do. There's none of that in it.
Right.
They left everybody out. It's just ridiculous. And I've asked and asked about this. Even Regina, I've asked, where's it at? Where's it at? Where's something I can look at?
And that was a year
And then
ago.
all of a sudden they throw it on here and want to do this. This is totally uncalled for.
Yep.
And on top of that, it comes out on Good Friday over the Easter weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And right for the farm in Madera County, we just put a moratorium on them.
Okay, well, and it's back into staff's hands, and we'll discuss it at a later date. So let me move to the next item, which is pending legislation. Any pending legislation? None. Supervisor and staff reports. Any supervisor or staff reports? I'll go to Brett.
I got nothing.
Max.
Nothing.
Rob.
Nothing to
Nothing.
report.
Tom.
Nothing.
And I have nothing. Any from the staff? Okay. We continue to be on top of things with the team and the EOS and public health. So we appreciate their continued efforts. Thank you, staff. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Be safe, all of you.
Oh, Rhonda,
Yes, sir.
great job.
Thank
You
you.
guys worked very well today. Great job. I didn't get to say it
Once
last
I
time.
figured it out.
Couldn't have
Yeah,
done it
if
without.
Rhonda, you just got to send more information to me because I'm ignorant to this stuff, and I'll tell you what, I was frustrated this morning.
Okay, I'll work on the instructions, try to make them a little more bullet point type of instructions. Hey,
This needs to be that way for me.
and a big shout out
Thank you,
to my
everybody.
staff and to IT. They were incredible.
I agree, 100%. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you just- you